Okay, good evening, everybody.
Nice to meet you, sir.
This is Harold Watson, Chairman of the Planning Commission. We are conducting this planning meeting live in Town Hall chambers on Tuesday, June 15th, 2020. That's the last time we met was February 2021, sorry. The quorum for this meeting is 3, and I will now be calling out the following elected members to speak up as present. Joseph Garrix.
Present.
Joseph is our new commissioner for Zone 1, Districts 1 and 2. William Boyd. Present. Myself, Harold Watson, present. Dan Semp is absent this evening. He will be replaced tonight by our alternate, Paul Aurelio.
Who is
present? Is that right? Aurelia. And last but not least, John Staley, Commissioner of Zone 5.
Present.
We are also joined by our alternates, Debbie Lamberti and Carrie Whitman. We also welcome Susmitha Tata, Aileen Marsh, and we have prospective members of the Greenway tonight. And we also have our new zone enforcement officer. He was just here a moment ago. There he is. Your name again is? Daniel Brennan. Mm-hmm. He just joined us, which, thank heaven, Stratford needs that position always. Our guests include the proposed Greenway members. I'm going to introduce you when we get to the Greenway section. Please identify yourself by name and title each time you would like to speak. When we do Greenway introductions, you can come to this microphone here, and I'll ask you to say just a little bit. Public is free to listen, but may only speak at the invitation of the chair during both administrative and petition sections. With that said, I call to order this monthly session of Stratford Planning Commission at 6:30 p.m. All in favor? Aye. Any objections?
Aye.
Everybody agreed. We are now open. We now proceed to our regular administrative agenda, which you should all have in your hand. I need someone to do me a motion for the special meeting minutes of June 3rd, 2021.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Anybody second that?
Second.
What are you seconding?
The motion to accept the June 3rd special meeting minutes.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Okay. I need someone to make me another motion for the June 18th, the May 18th regular meeting.
I make a motion to approve the meeting, May 18th.
I need someone to second that.
I'll second it.
Okay, Paul again. All in favor? Anybody opposed? All right, that's accepted also. We have no comment tonight on administrative items. We have one zoning referral, which I'm going to ask Susmitha to speak to. Petition of the Stratford Zoning Commission seeking to amend 12.5.11 of the zoning regulations regarding parking space requirements for residential developments. Just to give a little background, this is something that planning worked on for almost a whole year, 2 years ago. So we discussed this beyond belief. I'm now going to turn it over to Susmitha.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like I summarized in my transmittal to you all by email, this is a minor correction to the way residential developments are defined in Section 12, because when in 2016, Section 5 changed the definition for residential developments, for residential apartments. Section 7, which is of lower intensity than Section 5, got changed too, but then the accompanying parking regulations that define these residential developments did not change. So Section 7 was pertaining to CA zone, and it was, redefined from 3 to 9 to 3 to 7. So we are trying to be consistent with that definition when the parking regulation for residential developments is defined in Section 12.5.1.1. as existing text says for residential developments of 3 to 9 instead of 3 to 7, which should be consistent with Section 7. I know this gets very confusing when we're explaining, but when you look at the definitions in text on the paper, you will understand that, when CA zone defines residential developments as 3 to 7, the accompanying parking regulations should also define residential developments as 3 to 7. So just making that minor correction so that we're simplifying the zoning code for the users as, recommended by the Plan of Conservation and Development.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have, going over the administrative notes, very confusing. I didn't realize it was parking, and I didn't receive the parking that I received tonight, prior. It seemed as if it was basically on units rather than parking.
May I speak?
So
Sure,
my question is, I understand we spent a lot of time on this, but who is the applicant?
Well, this is zone text amendment. So the petition to the Stratford Zoning Commission by, I think the applicant is Attorney Not here, and typically zoning text amendments get referred to planning for recommendation, and there is no parking regulation here. It's just, trying to be consistent with with how residential developments are quoted in the zoning regulation as 3 to 9 in some places and 3 to 7 in some places for the same zone, and so trying to clean up the language everywhere. If you look into your package, there is also a staff report from our, from the Planning and Zoning Administrator Jay Habansky to Zoning Commission explaining this. And in my package to you that was sent last week, I also had a cover transmittal in which I summarized this in a more, synthesized manner in 3 or 4 lines and explained that this is to make sure that our zoning language isn't confusing to a person trying to implement it.
May I comment also, John?
Thank you.
Just, this is not directly, but it will involve itself with this sometime in the coming months. The new housing bill that just passed in the state tries to straighten out some of these same numbers between 7 and 9. What constitutes from 2 to 7 and 2 to 9? They're trying to make it more uniform across all zoning, across all of the state. So we actually are ahead of everybody else.
Well, I was just, I had not received this.
I didn't either.
So I'm only going off the administrative notes,
I understand.
which is confusing.
Yes, I understand.
And so we are changing the 7.1.1.1 and the 12.5.1.1?
May I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
We're changing 12.5.1.1. Currently, the way the text reads for that section is, for residential developments of 3 to 9 dwellings, 1.5 spaces for each dwelling unit, which is an efficiency, and/or 1-bedroom unit, and 2 spaces for each dwelling unit containing 2 or more bedrooms. The proposed text is for residential developments of 3 to 7 dwellings, 1.5 spaces for each dwelling unit, which is an efficiency, and/or 1-bedroom unit, and 2 spaces for each dwelling unit containing 2 or more bedrooms. So the 7 is underlined in the recommendation because, like I said, on May 30th, 2016, the threshold for residence apartments has been reduced from 10 units to 8 units. Subsequently, the threshold for CA zone residential developments got reduced from 3 to 9 to 3 to 7, because when residential apartments start until, from 8 units and over, residential developments are until 3 to 7 units. That's how it's, the threshold or the intensity of the regulation is.
Are we
So-
talking about CA zoning?
We changed CA zone in 2016, but we did not change its accompanying language in the parking regulation for it. And that's what we're trying to change right now.
And that actually goes back 2 years when,
Yes.
when we did that work.
Thank you very much for the clarification.
Okay.
Anybody else? William, Joseph? If there's no other discussion, is there anybody who will offer a motion? Thank you. To recommend approval?
William Boyd, Zone 2, recommend a motion to approve.
Is there anybody who will second that?
I'll second that.
And then we vote. Do we have to have discussion? We had discussion, okay. Then I think we're ready to vote. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So unanimous. We're now going on to the next section. Bond release request. And you should have a document on that. We should have a document on that also, correct? Is it in this pile? It's in the next pile down? Okay. It's after this one? After that. Bond release request. It's in the second packet, in the last half of the second packet. Sure, do you want to explain it?
So for those that are new to the commission, typically when planning commission votes on subdivisions, if for some reason the applicant cannot implement something right away, like sidewalks or trees, they're requested to post a bond with their finance department in the amount that is estimated by the town engineer. And once the work is done, they come back to us requesting a release of that bond. And if they don't do the necessary work in that time frame that they have to complete it, then the bond gets absorbed by the town in the town revenues. In this case, there was a subdivision way back in 2014 or even before that, that went before our planning commission, and there was a lot of information on that in our subdivision file, and I could pull out a letter that I enclosed with the package that I gave you all the way to the end, which summarizes that at the planning commission meeting held February 4th, 2014, the commission formally voted to retain $10,000 for remaining street trees which need to be planted this year. So those $10,000 were posted with our Office of Finance, and now the applicant is requesting a release of that money because those 5 street trees that were proposed to be planted have been planted upon completion of the building of the subdivision units. So because this is relating trees, I requested our conservation superintendent, Kelly Kerrigan, to provide me a feedback on whether the trees have been accurately planted and if there's any issue with those. Like you can see in the package, she formally wrote an email along with pictures that she took of those 5 trees, and along with a map that shows their locations, saying that she's found those to be satisfactory, and the Planning Commission could release a bond at this time. Mr. Garrix has a question.
Yes,
When was the last time these trees were inspected?
This was last week, 2 weeks ago.
and if you notice from the notes, this project goes back to 2014, so it's a long project. Yes, John?
I'd like to make a favorable motion.
Okay.
A favorable motion to release the bond of $10,000 per the satisfactory viewing of our Conservation Administrator, Kelly Kerrigan.
Anybody want to second that?
William Boyd, Zone
Second that.
2, seconds that.
All in favor? It's a unanimous aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, let's go to the next item. The next item is our Greenway. I'm going to give a little background on the Greenway here. Is this the whole Magilla is now for the Greenway? Yes. So we're not discussing it again? Okay, so under the Greenway, we have a couple items that we need to take care of as the Planning Commission. I don't know if everybody's aware, I tried to send out information to everybody, but the Greenway Committee is a subcommittee of planning. As such, we really are responsible for the actions they take. The problem that we've had with the Greenway is that they did not have a meeting at all this year, and they had very few meetings last year. So we really do need to reinvigorate our Greenway Committee. It's a definite must, and I do not cast aspersions to anybody who has worked on that. Some of the best people who volunteer in Stratford have been on that committee. And that committee goes all the way back, or at least their actions go back to 1979. If you go down to Short Beach, you can see the tablet down there of our very first Greenway strip. They have made plans for a network of trails all throughout Stratford that is, if it ever saw completion, we would be the envy of the Long Island Sound. But we are in a situation right now where we don't have enough people even for a quorum on the Greenway. So what we're trying to do, what I've tried to do, I won't say we, what I've tried to do is to pull together people. Over the last 3 or 4 months, I have been soliciting anybody who has a passion for the Greenway. People who ride their bikes a lot, people who walk a lot, wildlife photographers. I put out information to every place that I could think of to try to pull in new people who would have a new sense of enthusiasm and a new sense of civic responsibility. So the first thing that I want you to look at is the list here that you should have in your documents. You'll notice that I tried to balance this in all ways possible. I tried to get women on the committee, I tried to get men on the committee, I tried to get young people, and I tried to get old people, and I also did not replace a single person who's currently on the Greenway Committee. I feel like those decisions are going to be part of the Greenway Committee's responsibility. Do they want people who cannot attend their meetings? So that's going to be up to them to make that decision. So if you'll look, there are, I think, 14 or 15 members here that I tried to create a balanced. I tried to put only people, new people on it who approached me with a willingness and a desire to want to be on this committee. Joseph, that's where I first met Joseph.
Bexley.
Huh?
Bexley.
Well, yes, that actually is where, years ago, that's where I got my model for how to work on a committee. I appreciate that man so much. And as long as he's on this earth, there will be a seat.
Good friend.
Because I think that he is our knowledge of the Greenway.
Yeah.
And what I want is to find someone or maybe two people who are younger, who can work very closely with him and absorb some of that knowledge and try to reinvigorate. Because whether you know it or not, Stratford spent dollars coming up with plans. We have a very good 2008 plan that needs to be looked at again and needs to be melded into the Complete Streets projects that we're looking at. One thing that this committee does do, it combines both Complete Streets and the Greenway together, which I've argued for 2.5 years that it should be. And Jay used to argue against it, but Jay, our planning zoning person, he finally agrees also. He recognized finally that this is one task that's coming before us. So, in any case, those are the list. My assumption is that when the Greenway Committee meets, they're going to have to go through this list and say, how do we want to apportion this? I'm hoping that they will function much more in a committee kind of fashion, with one person, a couple people working on signage, a couple people working on reviewing all of our documents of Complete Streets, another person working on another couple working on Complete Streets as the main person, another couple people working on building high school kids' use of our trails. So, but that's really the task of the organization. Yes, ma'am. Sure, go ahead.
I went through the list of the people that you recommended.
Yes.
I just want to bring to your attention, Linda Pepin retired, Donald Kitka retired.
Well, see, they were on the last list that Linda gave me.
Yes.
And I spoke with Linda and said, would you stay on as our consultant? Not as a member, but as a consultant. And she said yes.
Well, this is a list of committee members, so she could serve as an
See,
advisor.
I have her as a consultant or an advisor. We could call her an advisor. But what she didn't want is the responsibility anymore. She's done it for many years. Yes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
am I assuming that the Greenway Committee is defunct?
No.
No,
Okay.
they just haven't met.
But do we have a list of present members?
The present members are anybody on this list who are not, everybody who I was given who was still functioning on the Greenway Committee, Linda gave me a list of them.
Okay, so it's not defunct, it's just moving forward.
Yeah.
And regenerating.
And everybody on the list Linda gave me is on this list.
Thank you.
And that includes
Don Kitka,
Don
Roger Salz.
Kitka. I kept him on the list, although it's my understanding that he's moving out of town, I believe. I'm not sure, but I don't think he wants to be on anymore.
Mr. Watson,
Yes, ma'am.
I know this is something that the commission should be discussing, so I'll try to keep it brief as a staff, but I would advise you, if Linda has offered her letter of resignation, we formally announced it last month at our meeting and recorded it in the minutes. We can't bring her back as a consultant unless she wants to be reappointed as a member, not as the chair, but as a member. There is no consultant because this
Okay,
is just a
then-
subcommittee of the primary committee. The other point I would like to make is, since, your terms are coming up in December, we would need somebody with a consistent presence for the next 2 years from the Planning Commission. John Staley and your term are going to be, expiring in December, and Mr. Joe Garrick's, depending on if he chooses to run for election for the seat or not, he may stay, but we don't have any member from the existing members in this committee, like William Boyd or, or alternates, somebody who can oversee this transition from this, year to next year.
I don't disagree. I have not said no to anybody who's asked to be on this committee.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
William Boyd, Zone 2. I'm looking at the terms. For instance, Harold, your term ends in 2024.
Yes.
So this is 2021.
Yeah, I came on to the It's 2024, 2025 is what I put down in terms of terms on the
Right.
Greenway.
So it looks like, is everyone termed out, or is this the proposed?
No,
now
generally,
going forward?
when you have a real honest-to-God functioning committee with bylaws, you want to split your group so that terms don't fall on, you want half of it to be one term and half of it to be the other term.
So if I'm reading this correctly, everyone's term ends either in 24 or 25, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, so they're there for
Yes.
a year or so at
Yes.
least, so we can
And
try to.
John
replace
should be
them.
pleased to know that I am certainly going to put myself up as a full-time member of the Greenway after my time is up on planning. My assumption is you will do the same. So we might not be on planning any longer, but then we will be full-time Greenway members, which there's no reason why we couldn't do that.
Okay,
I've been on Greenway for 6 or 8 years. Your term on planning is up, but your term on the Greenway wouldn't necessarily be up if you chose to continue on it. You would just be a regular member. You would not be a planning board rep member. The same with me.
Mr. Watson,
Yes, ma'am.
you may want to, request one of the planning commission members that would stay for the next year to be a representative for this committee when you're selecting the members. Because it'll help in the transition.
I agree, but we only have, of current full-time members, right there. If William doesn't want to do it, then we can't do that.
We have alternates.
Well, but technically, they're non-voting.
But the subcommittee is a working group. They could, if they chose to, they could be a
Okay, now I'm going to quiz our alternates. Is there anybody here who would like to be on the Greenway Committee representing planning? Right now it meets every other month.
I don't think I can do it because I'm in the middle of rebuilding my house that burned down this year.
So it's Debbie or Paul?
Chair, I understand what we're talking about, but in the event I'm elected again to the Planning Commission,
It would not be until 4 years from now,
right?
or four years from your
Is
term.
it 4 or 1?
It's 4.
Okay, there was 1. Okay,
No, I'm in the same situation.
right.
But
Isn't it, it's 3 2-year terms, is that what it is?
for planning,
Or planning is a 4-year term?
it's a 4-year term, you can only run once. You have to take off a full 4 years before you can run again. Listen, I've had discussions with the mayor about this. She thinks that we should go with the way a lot of towns are doing. But the problem is, we can only go that way if we put that on the ballot. And that's a very expensive proposition, and it takes someone to see that through. So that's going to be the next planning board who, if they want to see that happen, that's going to have to go onto their agenda.
And wouldn't that be a charter revision?
Yes, that's why it has to go on to be voted on in a general election.
But charter revision requires a lot of work before it can be.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that would be the next planning board. But there's talk about looking at zoning also, and looking at a lot of our boards, because anybody who's been on this knows it's a lot of knowledge that you need to acquire. So you learn it just about the time you're ready to get off. And we do ourselves a disservice in some ways. For people who are really learning, we would be better off if we could extend that, even if we made it a 6-year term, that we would have people there in their productive knowledge experience, using their knowledge experience on these committees, not having to learn everything from the get-go. But that, again, that's really off topic from this.
So I'm going to suggest something as staff for you to make this easier to appoint your members. This is a working group This doesn't have to have, strict guidelines like an officially established committee. You can have 20 members on this working group, or you can have 10 members. You can, you don't even have to, adhere to anything. And nobody in the planning commission right now is interested, maybe you just appoint those that are interested right now to continue to work with us, and then when, the new commission chair comes, they will have a clean slate to work with.
I think actually, if you read the bylaws allows leeway for the actual Greenway Committee to add members and to take members away if they feel they're not being functioning.
Are we on the bylaws now?
We can be. What I would like to do on this one, let's go through the bylaws, and then let me just say, in terms of this membership, I would like us to simply vote an approval for this, understanding that it's going to go to the Greenway, where they will be able to add and subtract additional people. Understanding that if we get Paul to say yes, we're going to add him on as a member. So that's for the membership people, and that will take off these two people from the menu, from the current member list. Does that sound okay? Okay, so now let's look at the bylaws. I did not write this from scratch. I used other bylaws and cut and pasted it. I tried my best to make it thorough, but not to be totally gobbledygook. Anybody want to make comments? John, I know you're willing and ready.
Yes, right until January.
No, it's what you're supposed to do.
The, Chairman, Article 2, Section 4, reappointment. I believe...
Wait.
Because
Section
we
4?
appoint the Greenway Committee members, they should not appoint their own members. It should come back to the PC.
So you're saying that every 2
They shouldn't
years?
have their, they're a subcommittee, they should not be able to appoint their own members for a reappointment.
For a reappointment. So then do we want to take this out
So
altogether,
that's
or do we want
Article...
to rewrite this?
That's Article 2, Section 4.
The what?
Article 2, Section 4.
Yeah, do we want to just lose this altogether, or do we want
Well, I just think if the commission, the planning commission, and they're a subcommittee, and the commission appoints them,
So all we want to do here then is change this from Greenway Committee Chair to Planning.
correct, my recommendation.
And is this a planning? Here's my problem, John, is
Yes?
that a lot of these things take months to happen. So you end up with inactive committees.
I just don't want things to see
I
things
understand,
move apart.
I'm not in disagreement with you at all, but I just want to make sure you understand. I don't want anything that's going to take 4 or 5 months for a decision to be made. So if we say the planning board or the planning committee chair, is this something that you can give over to the chair?
Not of the Greenway. I believe, according to the way it's established, it should come back to the commission. I think the chair of the commission is good, is
Okay, so
fine
then
with me.
we're gonna just simply change from planning committee chair to planning board chair.
Thank you. That's
And that's okay with me. That sounds,
comment I have. Then the Section 1, 4, they're,
whoa.
that's where they are
Section
appointing.
4?
Section 1, Item 4.
Article 4, Section 1. Okay, yeah.
Is that Article 5? Wait a minute. We're in, give me a second. Article 5, excuse me.
Okay.
Article 5, 4. Appointing committees as necessary.
Those should be sub-subcommittees. Do you know what I mean? Working groups. Maybe that's what we
Right.
should call it, is working.
We don't want to micromanage them, but I think we should be aware of them.
That's, yes, there is in here bringing back all activities to the planning board.
Okay, thank you.
So that is, I wrote that into this. It's there if you read it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, John, for taking the time to read this. Anybody else with anything? Debbie? Nothing? I will tell you that this committee will have the best bylaws of any committee in town, from what I could see, because I looked at every committee. Some of them have bylaws, some of them only have a paragraph description. But I think in the future, as we professionalize things, this will actually do us service well. So can we take this in reverse order? Anybody else have any comments on the bylaws? Anybody want to make a comment, offer a motion? Yes, John.
I'll make a motion to approve the bylaws for the Greenway Committee slash, are they a part of the, are we adding the roads with the committee, the Greenway Committee?
Are we adding?
Yeah, I believe.
It is in Article 1. You see it, it's up there. It combines the functions of both the Complete Streets Task Force and the Planning Board's Greenway Committee.
I believe that's a good blend. I approve the minutes and the bylaws of the Greenway Committee with the changes recommended.
You got those changes? Okay.
Mr. Watson,
Yes, ma'am.
did you talk to Jay about combining Complete Streets
Yes,
with,
I did.
and when was that?
A month and a half ago,
Okay.
because he's running the same problem of it not being. And the out is that we can add more people specifically for Complete Streets as needed. So if we want to bring in any local merchants.
You should speak in the microphone. Because
So
of,
Smith is asking a question about Complete Streets. And in the original Complete Streets Task Force, we had local business represented very heavily. And what I wrote this, if you read through this carefully, it specifically mentions the Complete Streets, how we can expand the Greenway with additional people needed, particularly as it corresponds to Complete Streets. So essentially, all those people can just come right over. Believe me, they don't want to be there anymore, and they have to. And they don't want to sit and discuss a network that was written up 10 years ago that's still in the planning stages. They want to know the project that they're dealing with right now. So it's a lot, their purposes are very different than ours. But the committee, half the people on the committee are on the Complete Streets Committee. So it makes sense to say, let's all be aware of what everybody's doing.
I'll have to check on the Complete Streets Community Advisory Group, who's on that list, and call each person to know if they would be comfortable being part of the Greenway Committee and attending a set, defined number of meetings or not.
They don't have to be. They only have to be when they're called in on a Complete Streets project.
Excuse me? I can't hear.
The Complete Streets people will not be expected to attend every meeting. They're not on the member list. They will be when it is specifically dealing with an issue that has to do with Complete
Okay,
Streets.
I do have a question then.
Yes.
Do we have two committees that aren't blended?
We have two committees that aren't functional.
True, but,
And the Complete Streets Committee had half of the Greenway Committee on it.
okay.
Linda was on the Complete Streets.
But
If
where are we going?
We're going to having one Greenway Committee.
And they're going to meet every other month?
Yes.
And so everybody should be present, if able.
Except you're not going to be able to get some of the Complete Streets people to be present because they're only interested in the Greenway as it affects their immediate area and immediate business. And I'm not saying they don't have they should have a strong.
I'm not talking business, I'm talking residents.
May I please, speak?
There would be an ad hoc committee, sub.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm suggesting.
Samantha?
Yes.
Yes. So first things first, my role as a town planner is to manage plans and programs for this town, and I have been managing the Complete Streets project since I started working here in 2018. And I am also, based on the charter, the a standing member of the, not the charter, but I think the town planner's duties have been to guide the Greenway Committee because I serve the Planning Commission as a staff member. It's not in the charter, but it just lends itself to the planning and the long-range planning and programs that our office undertakes. Regarding the groups not functioning, I disagree with that because we've met several times last year when we were discussing our 30% designs and 60% designs with our Community Advisory Committee and the Technical Advisory Committee members. I had these lists in my office that were created at the time when the project was started, and they were passed on to me, and I have been regularly trying to keep people in loop on what we have been doing in terms of complete streets. Regarding Greenway, we have met until before COVID when our phase 2 drawings were being reviewed, and then those were sent to DOT for their final approval, and I've been following through with DOT several times, seeking their final approval so we can go for bidding. Because there was no momentum there, the Greenway Committee had, not been able to reconvene and discuss the next step. But again, when we were applying for a grant, we called in a special meeting of the Greenway Committee, and we made sure that we had the Greenway Committee members informed and involved, and they also offered a letter of support when we applied for a TAP grant. And quite recently, we also applied for a congestion mitigation and air quality program grant using the Greenway Committee's letter of support and their recommendations. We also met last month when Ms. Pepin resigned, and I'm not trying to be difficult here, but I'm trying to help you, streamline. It would be in our best interest to have complete streets and greenways report to the Planning Commission because these are all part of the long-range planning and the POCD guidance that we have provided. But the only problem would be scheduling. That would be very difficult because when you have 15 members and you have to invite them and make sure they attend these meetings, and we never come to an agreement on anything because of the number of people involved, it would be advisable like either to limit the number of members if you're combining the committees or keep them separate, because otherwise you would have like 20, 25 people because there are already 10 people who have been regularly following the Complete Streets project. Like I can say one person who's not on this list, which is Tom Dillon. And there's another few people who attended our Complete Streets public meeting last week who were strongly interested in Complete Streets part of the project. So my advice to you as a staff member to the Planning and Zoning Office and as the town planner, I would say either limit the number of members on this Greenway and Complete Streets Committee, or maybe perhaps keep them as they are for now, so that you can have those two subcommittees reporting separately to you, as opposed to them combining and we having to have a majority quorum for the meetings, for any approvals or letters of recommendation and next steps.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Samantha. And that's the point I was getting to. Why do we have two? If we're going to blend them, they should be one committee, and there should not be 25 members. Maybe 10
There are
max.
13 on this list right now.
Excuse me?
There are 13 on this list right now,
Of Complete Streets and Greenway?
as much as I know.
Okay, 13's too many.
13th what?
Too many.
Mr. Watson, I have a separate list on the Complete Streets members.
I was given this.
If there's subcommittees, and they could create subcommittees, including retail, then you don't need that many members on a committee. Nothing will get done. We know that.
Can I ask a
Right
question?
now, we have a committee that we were not able to call a quorum for on a Zoom meeting.
And the
We there has been, I think, the biggest problem that we have for any kind of Greenway Complete Streets project in Stratford, building a network all you got to do is go look at any of the towns around us that we have a lack of both arms knowing what they're doing.
Let's change that.
That's what I'm trying to do here, is to say we need to speak with one voice. We need to say this is the network that we envision building, and these are the projects that are getting us there. And we have people with the projects that are getting us there who are not aware of what we have planned on. They're coming in with projects that are being laid right on top of existing plans, and as if they did not exist, when you could actually put the two together and say, let's continue building towards a network.
I have a question.
Yes.
William Boyd, Zone 2. Based on what Susmitha said, she's staffing, as part of her job, she is staffing the complete streets, if I got that correct. So why don't we go back to Susmitha and get her opinion how to either reduce the two committees and then streamline them so each left hand, right hand knows what each of them are doing, and use the advice of the town planner to then streamline those two bodies. Why can't we do that? Is that what you were saying initially, Susmitha?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally in support of combining both, but I feel like the members that are routinely we are communicating about complete streets, haven't been informed of this. It's somebody else making a decision of who stays on the committee without, having given them an opportunity to understand that this will be combined, and these are the list of members in the Greenway, and these are the list of members in complete streets. Who can commit to attending every alternate month a meeting and discussing these projects. And I think, as far as I'm concerned as a town planner, this is the first time I'm hearing that there was a list provided, and I wasn't aware of that.
What?
Okay,
No,
so-
no, Smitha. This list came from you.
So,
That was not the complete streets list, Mr. Watson.
I didn't say it was.
so if I understand, let's pull this back and let's get the list of the complete streets. We have the list of Greenway, and let's just reanalyze it and see if we can consolidate it down a bit based on what Susmitha as a town planner is saying, and maybe there can be some consolidation, because it sounds like it's duplicitous and it's just chaos. So based on the advice, maybe if we do poll them in the next month to say, hey, who really wants to be on both, who really wants to step aside, and see if we can condense it and then go forward with a plan, because it seems like right now we're just playing ping pong with it.
Well, listen, I was asked to do a job. I did it the best that I could on my own with what was presented to me.
No, we agree. I'm just saying it's not. No, we're not indicting anyone. We're just saying it's kind of jumbled. So let's pull back, reassess it, and then try to move forward in a more concise way. That's all.
I just want to make a point really clear. There is a dysfunction between the two committees that I think is preventing us from having the best that we could have.
So how do you suggest we solve that?
It's obvious we're not going to solve it tonight.
No, not tonight.
The only thing that I could say is then let's go back to the bylaws. Let's take out anything that mentions complete streets. Let complete streets stay as its own committee.
Susmitha is saying no.
Mr. Watson has put in a lot of effort in this, and it's a very commendable job, that which we always needed, but we never had in place. When I first came to this office, I didn't know who are the Greenway Committee members, what constitutes a quorum, nothing like that. It's a very good statement of bylaws that we have here, and he also, brought a list of interested members for the Greenway Committee, which is also commendable. The only thing...
Second, the new people on this list are bikers. They're people who use Greenport's trails every day. That's what I think is always missing in any of these discussions. We're building greenways that does not ask, is this the best surface for someone to travel on? That's the missing voice. You can have all the people that have stores along the front, but if you're not putting down a greenway that people are going to want to use, then it doesn't matter. They're being fooled as much as anybody. Yes, sir.
I believe the Complete Streets is a great blend with the Greenway. We're looking at bike paths. I saw the video and the presentation of going down Barnum Avenue, or to Barnum Avenue, and I thought it was very well done. I think the blend is necessary. We don't want big government. We want things to move forward. And I think the committee should be no more than 9. Samantha said she can call each person and talk to them. I think that's a good point.
All I'm saying is I will reach out to those people who are highly interested in Complete Streets project right now, and I will let them know of Planning Commission's intent to synthesize these two committees into one group, and I'll find out who wants to be on the Greenway Committee, Greenway and Complete Streets Committee, the new subcommittee of Planning Commission, so that, then you have a list of 15 members, or maybe you could have a list of only 10 members, depending on who can commit to this time.
15 makes sense.
Okay.
That's closer to what we were originally. When we had meetings 5 years ago in the other room, we had every seat filled around the conference table and almost every seat filled around the outside. It was a big committee.
Yeah.
It really was a big committee. Ask Joe. There were a lot of people. They weren't always there, but they all had specialties. We had engineers, we had, writers, we had a real good.
Well, I understand that, but in the bylaws, they're able to do subcommittees.
And bring in people on subcommittees that they
Right,
want to.
rather than having 15. They could be coming as an advisory subcommittee or whatever.
The problem is, John, I'm being very honest, that the organization has fallen to such a low level that I think we need to have a working group for at least a year before we even think about doing anything like that. Because there's not that many people who understand what has been done, what was expected to be done, and what projects are currently in the works or being thought about. And you need to educate a whole committee towards that before you can actually start saying, we're ready to go off and start
Not difficult.
helping.
Difficult.
Okay. The only thing I will say is that there are several people here tonight who have, for months, been waiting for the Greenway Committee meetings. So at the very least, I will hold off on this list, but I would like to put these people onto our committee. Because their interest has been 100% all along the way. That's Mr. Green, Ms. Burke, Mr. Jerks.
Mr. Gerger?
That includes Mr. Staley. See, if we take the 3 of us out, we're down to 10.
All right, I'm out.
No, I'm saying that we're down to a committee of 10.
Okay, it's better.
Do you see any?
Fine.
Yeah.
I believe I refer to,
Yes, Joe.
Just wondering if it's possible to add the people that are highly motivated to come on to the existing Greenway Committee and begin meeting promptly.
That's what I'm saying, basically. But in order to do that, we would have to change the bylaws to remove the complete streets descriptions.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
You could also do this in increments. Today, adopt the bylaws for Greenway alone and have the members. And then maybe next month, I'll bring the list of Complete Street members who want to be added and amend the bylaws to make it a combined committee, if that's an acceptable approach for you.
Sure, we're into the middle of summer. Look, I'm part of the reason I'm reacting the way I am is we have projects that were funded 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. We have $170,000 that was sitting in the bank waiting for us to use on a project, which I don't even know if that's going to be available to us when we finally say, yeah, we're ready for it. So we are losing opportunities right and left. We need someone who is a real advocate for getting stuff done. Yes?
I agree with our Administrator Smith, who has a recommendation that we go along with our bylaws and we add, which the complete streets is in there.
Yes.
So we go along with the bylaws and we try to get these approved.
And I did take, in the last version of revision, I took out the size of the committee, so that doesn't make a difference one way or the other.
Okay,
Okay, so then,
next month.
we did not vote on the bylaws yet, right? Correct?
Ask the secretary.
We have not voted on the bylaws, correct?
I think we did,
Mr. Staley made a motion.
yeah.
Oh, we're in the middle of a motion.
No one seconded it.
No one seconded. So what I'm going to suggest is that I would like to see us do two things tonight. This is personal preference. I would like to appoint the people that are in attendance here tonight to the Greenway Committee,
We have a
whatever
motion
happens.
on the table.
Huh?
We have a motion on the table.
And I would like to vote on the bylaws
Do we have a second?
as they stand, with the exception of the changes that you had made.
Do we have a second?
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5-0. Anybody opposed? Okay, we do have the bylaws now for the committee. We're not going to do anything with the current members, except there are people who haven't been on the committee before, that I don't want to lose, because they came here tonight thinking they were going to begin working on the committee. So I would like to put them on this committee with a simple vote that we're going to include all of the current people who are interested in remaining on the Greenway, and we're going to add the people that are interested in joining. Yes?
I believe Samantha said that she was going to call each one. Is that no more? You were going to call each person?
I have called each.
Samantha?
We have members like Tom Dillon, George Burham, and a few others who have been regularly following our Complete Streets project, and they have been advising us on the 60% designs, which will be, we are moving forward towards the 90% design stage. So I just felt like we should give them an opportunity at least to know what's going on with Planning Commission consolidating the committees. And if some of them are really busy practicing professionals and they may not be able to come every alternate month to these meetings, and if they just choose to be an interested resident, that is fine. But in my position, it gets difficult to explain to them how they got dropped all of a sudden from not being part of these discussions. So that's why I wanted to send an email or a phone call to them to let them know that the Planning Commission is consolidating both committees and that interested residents should reach out because there's time commitment involved from now onwards. And for those others that are not wanting to be part of this committee but want to be informed as a resident, they will be invited to our public meetings and workshops.
Right. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And you'll draw up that list of
Question?
people?
I have that list with me, so I will just inform them and let them know that the Planning Commission has decided to move forward with consolidating Complete Streets and Greenway, and the Greenway Committee has at least 15 members interested in that, and
We have 10 members.
10 members interested in that, and then we would ask if anybody in the existing Complete Streets Committee is wanting to be on this committee. If not, then we'll just stick with these 10, but if they are, then I'll give you the
If
new
you can
members.
convince Tom to do it, I just spoke with him yesterday exactly about this.
You did.
He
Chairman,
said,
does that 10 include the 2 new members that you wanted to put on the committee?
I think it does.
Good. So then we should vote them in.
who does it include?
The new members are in this list, right?
Yes, the new members are on this list. So I'm going to, should we just do these members, or should I do the ones who said they couldn't be here tonight? I have Karen. I have Ellen. I have Joseph, who is now, doesn't really count because he's now on council. I mean, he's now on the committee. I have Christopher Green. I have Nels Pearson, who is Paradise Green. I have James Simon is already on. And I have Stacy Taveras. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new members.
Have you one not included with the 10?
Excuse me? Included with the 10.
So it's 15.
No, that's 10.
Thank you.
They're included in that 10 that I was talking about. Well, actually, it's 9 because I included him, so he doesn't count. If we're doing planning flexibility or whatever. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, this is confusing, I know. My apologies to everybody, and my apologies to you. I don't mean to be snappy, but this has been in my head for 2 months. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, you have to speak in the mic. Oh, sorry.
I know. I should know better. I'm still confused because these are too many people for a committee. You know, it's the way, I mean, there's 5 people talking tonight, and it's hard to get the work done. You know, if you have like 10 or 15 people on a committee, you know, yes, they're passionate about it, but, you know, you have to give limitations. That's my opinion.
I don't disagree totally with what you're saying, but what we always thought was great about the Greenway was we had architects, we had 3 architect builder types, we had 3 bicycle rider types. Once you start getting all your constituencies who are interested in that, you really are, in essence, having a whole bunch of little subcommittees.
But when they have a meeting, do all of these people show up?
Well, 5 is quorum. The problem is, right now, we don't have, meetings are being called with no quorum.
Well, the bylaw says majority is the quorum. You have to revise that.
And it should say what?
You said 5 just now.
No, I'm saying that's what the old Greenway Committee had, was they got their list down to 5 from 10 or 15 by people dropping out. And then they could not get a quorum even at 5.
Contradicting yourself. When you say even 5 members can show up and have a quorum, and you're appointing 15 members and asking majority to be the quorum, it'll never happen.
I am not, I am saying we are down to 10 people on this committee if you do not count planning members. We're down to 10 people, which means if half those people show up for a meeting, that gives us 5.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I think we're beating this thing up. We all know the bigger the committee, the less you get accomplished, especially when there's been money not spent. So it's pretty obvious. I think the committee should be 7 to 9, and the people that are very important to the committee, who are architects and engineers, are consultants and subcommittee of the people that are going to run the committee and talk about the things.
I always adore you.
That's my recommendation.
No, that's where I think it's going to end up going, eventually. Do you know what I mean? Because the architects are going to say, I don't want to hear about the circus. They're going to be there for what they're interested in. That's why I'm not scared, I'm not afraid of a 10-person group. It doesn't make me afraid. So how do we move this along?
Mr. Watson?
Yes,
In the bylaws, maybe you want to clearly mention that 10 is the committee composition, and quorum is the majority, that is 6, and that way,
add that in.
yeah, it doesn't say then the composition of the committee, yeah.
I would rather just leave this as it is right now and not change anything else. And then someone give me the text. Read the text, recite the text to Aileen. Okay?
I think we've gone too far with this, and we're ready to move it forward, and one change will not change anything.
Go, give her the text and I'll
Oh, well, Samantha just told you.
Okay, great.
I think it should say the maximum instead of the minimum for membership and expectations. Instead of saying a minimum of 14 members will be appointed, maybe a maximum of X number of people onto the committee, and then have a quorum of, how many ever you choose, whether it's 2/3 or, majority or supermajority or whatever you feel. Mhm. The problem we...
I like what Aileen just put down. I thought that's a workable solution.
What is it?
So it's going to be a maximum of 10 members and a quorum of 6. With ad hoc, fine. I can tell.
I want to get the people up and, oh, we need to vote on that. Did we vote on that?
No,
Just on the change or on the whole thing?
you need to
We
revote
need to
on.
vote on the whole thing with the changes. Aileen, can you read what changes? Well, there has to be one thing. I'm going to have to read the changes first.
So Mr. Stein made a motion to approve the bylaws with the changes recommended, that the Greenway committee members should not reappoint themselves, it should be.
Planning.
Yeah, my voice also carries, but I'll read into this. It should also be the planning commission who does so. Then, continuing on with Mr. Staley's suggestion that the maximum number of members for the Greenway Committee is 10, with quorum being 6,
And where does that fall?
under the bylaws. So you're waiting for a second for that motion.
For the change.
Correct.
All in favor?
Well, we have one additional change during discussion. Is that approved?
I think we have to vote on the change before we can vote on the whole thing, correct, Aileen? So we now need to vote on that 10-6.
I make a motion that we add to the approved bylaws during discussion the addition of a maximum of 10 members with a quorum of 6.
Yes, sir.
A quorum should probably say majority rather than a number 6. If there's 8 members of the committee, you still don't
Yeah,
need
it should.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
the quorum should be stated to be a majority of the members rather than specifying 6.
Majority of the members present.
One more than half.
So in the event that there's only 9 members for whatever reason.
All right, so we need to vote on that second change. All in favor? All opposed? Did you have your hand up? So it was 5-0. Okay. Now let's go to the main bylaws. I will entertain a motion. Yes, John?
I make the motion to approve favorably the Greenway slash Streets Committee, is it?
It's actually, the real name of this is now called the Stratford Housatonic Greenway Committee, because Stratford Housatonic Greenway is what the state and the county call.
So I make a motion to approve the Stratford Greenway Committee and bylaws with the changes as voted on and approved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Second, Joe. All in favor? Anybody opposed? 5-0. All right, that's done. Now, let's go to the new members of the Greenway. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, we're going to put you on the Greenway. I do not know what's going to happen from there out. Planning has the ability to nominate and elect members to the Greenway. So essentially, we're acting as our capacity of planners to put you on the Greenway. So I'm going to ask you to come up. Karen, Ellen, who is not here tonight, Joseph, Christopher. Yeah, come up. Nels, who is not here. Oh. And Stacy, who I know is not here because she's working tonight. So those are the members we're talking. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4 members. Is that correct?
Do they swear?
No. 1, 2, 3, 4 members. Okay.
Who's the fourth?
The fourth is Ellen Fraint. Ellen Fraint. And Stacy Tavares. Is that 5? I can't count.
Karen Burke, Ellen Frank, Christopher Green, and Stacy Tavares.
And Pears, Nels Pearson is the other one. He's here. That is 5. Sorry, my mistake. Okay. Can you guys give us a 2-minute introduction to why you wanted to be on the Greenway Committee?
Sure. My name is Karen Burke. It's nice to see you all today. I'm a cyclist. So I cycle a lot on Cape Cod, and there are plenty of ways to do that on the Cape. I find in Connecticut there aren't that many ways to do that safely. So I was thrilled when I moved here about 6 years ago when we started a route. I'm not satisfied with that route. I mean, I could do it in 10 minutes, so I would like to see it extended and safely. And that, you know, as a cyclist, that's the most important thing, to be safe for both the cyclist and the motorist. So, you know, that's why I'm here. You know, people can walk it, people can ride it, people can walk their dogs on it, assuming they pick up. Let's hope they pick up from their dogs. I'm a big dog person. So, you know, that's why I want it. So.
And can you tell them your professional background?
Yes, I'm a doctor, a PhD in, actually it's an EDD in media studies. I teach at Southern Connecticut State University. I've been doing it for about 30 years. And I'm coming close to retirement, so that makes me even more excited about having more places to cycle. So my expertise is where media and politics collide. So it's been a fun couple years teaching.
And could you see applying that to the Greenway?
My education and my work? Oh, absolutely. I mean, I deal with soft money all day long. So as a college professor, you know, we're always looking at ways to bring in money, and I'm sure the Greenway is going to need money. I'm new to this, so I don't know what's in the account now. But absolutely, I mean, my skills are writing, communicating effectively, persuasion. So, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nels?
All right, so thanks for inviting me here today. So I'm also a college professor. I'm a professor of English at Fairfield University. I'm also the director of the Humanities Institute and the director of the School of Humanities at Fairfield University. And I have been a resident of Stratford since 2009, and I'm also a cyclist. So, and a dog walker, and just someone who generally enjoys the outdoors. I think that I would agree with Mr. Watson and all those who think that these two committees should be brought together, because I think that Stratford has so much to offer as a place that can embrace the shoreline and that can think about the cohesiveness and the integration of its various communities. And so if there is a sense that Stratford is a place that not only embraces its ecological resources and its access to water, which it has way above many other communities, but also sees that as part of a cohesive and integrated town that is a place where, let's say, if I get on a street bike path in Paradise Green and I see icons that indicate that this is a bike path, and that I could take that either to the train or I could take that to a greenway, and then it gives me this visual, cohesive sense of this place as a place that embraces its connections to the shore, its connections to other places, its friendliness to walkers, its friendliness to bikers, its friendliness to green modes of transportation. And that is not only just a matter of being appealing to bikers and being appealing to walkers, it's obviously a great commercial appeal as well, right? Because it draws young people to the town. It makes people say, oh, wow, this is really, a hip place to be. This is a town that embraces all of it, all of its resources and wants to integrate them. So I think it's a great idea. And just looking at those plans for the complete streets and thinking of the way that might connect to a greenway is beautiful, is brilliant. So.
Thank you. And last but not least, Christopher?
Hi, Christopher Green. I became a Stratford resident in 2018. Have really loved the town. I'm just about to leave my current career. I've spent the last 10 years basically bringing up a math enrichment program in Stamford and Wethersfield, Connecticut, called the Russian School of Math. Stepping aside from that to figure out what I want to do next, but I really am looking more towards public service and nonprofit work. As part of it, I've started working with Sterling House a little bit, with volunteering with them and their summer camps. I myself was a competitive cross-country and track athlete through college at Harvard. After that, I've been a teacher ever since, a little bit of a track coach, so I definitely love activity. I still run around on the Greenway 2 or 3 times a week, so I have the stretch fit by the Army plant, so I have direct experience with that. And aside from that, I also really enjoy biking and either out to Long Beach or if I want to risk it, over the bridge and into Milford. So I would love to see all of that connected and safe. I love the new dog park for all of our dogs, but our dog enjoys the dog park up in Roosevelt Forest, and I'd love to see that true connection of the town moniker, forest to shore, and see all of that connective and cohesive. So in terms of, working in math education, not just as a teacher, but also as an administrator and organizer of people, staff, training them, making sure it's a for-profit entity, so running it as a business, trying to run it efficiently, effectively, and delegate funds. I really would be excited to apply those skills in a way that benefits the public good.
Anybody want to put forward a motion?
I would put forward a motion to sign them up immediately.
Anybody want to second that?
Second.
That Joe over there? Okay. I can't see you because of the sunlight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And 5-0. That's pretty good. If you were getting a grade on your paper. Thank you, guys. I'll be in touch with you. All right, what do we have next on our plans? We have housing partnership. Before we do, Dan is not here tonight, but I would like to praise him. Dan got his company to donate the roofing materials for one of our homeless housing units in Stratford, the Bethlehem houses. His company is going to pay for all materials, which is probably, multi-tens of a thousand, because it's a big building. So everybody thank Dan for doing good work for us. Now we can go on. So Smithy, you have a amendment?
No, just housing partnership update. I just wanted to let you know that at our last meeting, we discussed about amending the plan of conservation and development to include the updated housing plan as a new section in the POCD. According to the state statutes, any amendments to the plan of conservation and development should be referred to the Regional Council of Governments at least 65 days in advance. And then the town's planning commission can hold a public hearing with adequate notices before 35 days of the meeting. So I referred the plan to MetroCog, which is a regional council of governments, last month. Not last month, 2 weeks ago, I think. I was waiting for the housing bill at the state legislature to pass to see if there will be any major changes that would impact the housing plan that the partnership developed and the council endorsed. Fortunately, there were not many major changes at the state level, so I referred the plan immediately to our regional COG, and looks like our public hearing date would most likely be in August, based on the timeline. So a month before, which is like around July 17th or 18th, I will start putting the legal notices out for the public hearing at the Planning Commission August meeting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's within 65 days?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
May I ask a question? I was reading up on the new affordable housing legislation that the governor signed. Is this what you're talking about, that latest piece?
No, I'm talking about the housing plan that Planning Commission recommended to the council, and that was never adopted as part of POCD.
Right.
So we
but
have to.
Now, with this new legislation, you're saying you've read through the new legislation and
Yes.
compared it to what we did.
Yes.
My read of it is we did a lot of good work.
Yes, we did.
We answered a lot of questions, so all the people on the Stratford Housing Partnership, it really was worthwhile because we were months ahead of a lot of other communities. So I think, thank you. You should be proud of the work that was done on that. If you go and look under current bills and look under housing bills, you can actually find that and read up on that because it's going to have dramatic effect of our zoning laws, and that's coming. That's not part of this. But in the next year, some of these things go into effect as of August 1st, I believe it is. It's right on July 1st. Some of them don't go into effect for a year, but it's going to require us to rewrite some of our zoning, and it will require a lot of new learning, including requiring people on land boards to take 4 hours of training. So, yes. Are we voting on this? No. Is there anything else? Hey, everybody. Huh? The what?
Motion to adjourn by Mr.
No, I just wanted to thank you before we adjourn. And it's so good to be back in person. This has really kind of freaked me out. I don't know if it did you. I feel like I'm in a cage here. But blessings to everybody. Thank you for the help on the Greenway. Someone give me a motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Boyd. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Welcome back, everybody.